Here we have an excellent grouping of Paleo Story Stone face and Mammoth Effigies made of very good quality citrine crystal from Brazil, South America. I acquired these from a rock dealer, and when rock dealers buy large quantities of what we call rough rock, in other words, not cut or polished or worked by in modern times, they buy these from the people who find them or mine them, and when they find them, it's oftentimes in alluvial deposits, and you'll see that the dealer will have a number of stones that are all Paleo Story Stone face and Mammoth Effigies because they're digging these from an ancient Paleolithic effigy offering site. And that's where these come from. They're all made to stand upright, and they all have the similar imagery. And in fact, almost identical imagery that we're going to see for each and every stone here. Now, each and every one of these is standing upright, made that way. And we're used to looking at flaking when it comes to arrowheads and knives and things like that. We have to train our eye to understand that when you see globular type stones like this that have shape, in other words, they have a perimeter that's been formed and a profile that's been made, then we get used to how Paleo Indians would flake stone other than arrowheads and spear points and things of that nature, which are much more obvious to the eye. We have to train our eye to see that this is all worked here. These are all worked around the perimeter. And once you get to know Paleo Story Stone face and Mammoth Effigies, you'll become familiar with this flaking. It's not like a spear point, but it's flaked around the perimeter to make the profile of the mammoths and the human faces. And this is a great mature mammoth right here with the eye of the mammoth here and the big sweeping trunk coming off to the left. Look at that beautiful citrine crystal. It's beautiful yellow stone. All natural. There we have it there. In other words, natural has not been dyed or it's not been artificially dealt with when it comes to color. This is all natural citrine crystal. And big mammoth, mature mammoth facing off to the left, his eye here, big draping trunk off to the left. And then we have that baby mammoth with its massive hair tuft up here and its little trunk down here facing off to the right. And then when we hold it this way, we've got the young face with a little beak of a nose over here, the little pointed nose of the younger face. This is the eye and the nose. And the older face has the big rounded nose with the sloped back forehead, now facing off to the left. Just great workmanship on this. That's all been worked on that side. In fact, there's probably some engraving there as well. And then we have another identical piece right here, just identical in profile. The big draping trunk of the mammoth facing off to the left, and the baby mammoth with the massive hair tuft facing off to the right, and the young face with the pointed nose facing off to the right, and the older face with the big rounded nose facing off to the left. Practically identical there in profile. And then we have this one. This is the young mammoth, the baby mammoth with his trunk over here, massive hair tuft above the head. And then when we turn it this way, now we have the eye of the mammoth here and the big sweeping trunk of the mature mammoth now facing off to the right. And when we hold it this way, we have the pointed nose of the young face facing off to the left and the rounded nose of the older face facing off to the right. And then we see a face here carved into the side of the stone. Isn't that cool? An eye, and a mouth looking right at us right there. They did that intentionally. Face looking right at us from the side of the mammoth there, which has all been worked. And then we have this wonderful piece right here of that baby mammoth. This one even kind of rocks a little bit. And that's the baby mammoth with his little pointed trunk facing off to the left. And then we have that same mammoth imagery as we do here, except facing the opposite way, of the mature mammoth with the big trunk, its eye up here, and its big trunk facing off to the right. That eye is cool, where they flaked it on the other side so you can see the eye shine through, and the big trunk sweeping off to the right. And we have the young face with the pointed nose looking off to the left, and the older face with the big rounded nose looking off to the right. And then we have this one here, very similar. The mature mammoth now facing off to the right, and the baby mammoth facing off to the left. And then we have this one here, which is the young baby mammoth with his little beak of a trunk facing off to the right, and the mature mammoth with its big sweeping trunk facing off to the left. And you see, that's the same type of imagery that we see over and over of the mammoth imagery of the mature mammoth facing off to the left. And then we have the faces, which are this eye right here, been flaked out, pointed nose of the young face looking off to the left, and the older face facing off to the right. Just wanted to share this grouping of wonderful citrine crystal, Paleo Story Stone face, and Mammoth Effigies from Brazil, South America.